how to apply a ceramic coating or a graphene coating to a car. So what's up guys, welcome to another episode of Pan the Organizer. Typically when you want to protect your paintwork, you apply a wax or a paint sealant, right? Well, in the past 5 to 6 years, there's been a major evolution in the car detailing world, and more people now are applying ceramic coatings to their vehicles. So these are these glass vials that contain a semi-permanent form of paint protection that promises to give you a lot of chemical resistance, lots of hydrophobic properties, so awesome water beading and water sheeting. They protect your paintwork against the elements, against the harsh weather, the UV rays, so on and so forth. They give you slickness, they give you tremendous gloss, and they have self-cleaning properties, meaning that your vehicle is a lot easier to clean during maintenance washes. We call them semi-permanent forms of paint protection because instead of lasting 3 months to 4 months like a traditional wax or 5 to 6 months like a synthetic paint sealant, these last for many years. We're talking 2, 5, 7+ years depending on the versions that you're getting. So typically they're silicon dioxide based, or SiO2, and an evolution in the past year or two has been to have a graphene coating. So a lot of them use that same SiO2 base or ceramic base, but they also infuse them with graphene or graphene oxide to help increase the protection or the promised protection against water spotting. So what we're going to do in this kind of masterclass video is I'll be teaching you everything you need to know to understand, first of all, what they are, what they do, how to properly prep before you apply these coatings to your paint. So what are the steps? We're going to go over washing, over paint decontamination, both with chemical decontamination such as iron removers and tar removers, and mechanical decontamination using a clay bar to remove any further embedded contaminants. Then we're going to move on to paint correction. So if you need to polish your paint to remove any oxidation, swirls, scratching, and any marring that's on there to basically improve gloss as well. And then how to prep the paint before the coating using an IPA wipe or a paint prep to remove polishing oils. And at the end, we're going to learn how to apply one or the other of the coatings, because essentially the techniques are basically the same, whether it's a ceramic coating or a choice of a graphene coating, the same techniques apply. We'll also be covering some important things that you guys need to know, and you're going to understand finally what curing time is, what flashing is all about, high spots, how do you deal with those if they happen, how do you prevent them from happening, all of the important things that you need to know on application as well, but also maintenance. So what do you do immediately after you applied your ceramic coating in the next days or weeks? And then in the following months or years, how do you care for a car that is coated with a ceramic or a graphene coating? And then I'm also going to talk about variables such as durability. So if a company promises 2 years, are you going to get that full 2 years of protection? If yes, why? Or if not, what might be things that affect those durability claims? So without further ado, stay tuned. Let's go ahead and start the show. So hey guys, I'm Pan, welcome to the show. I hope you guys are having a great day, so let's dig right into it. Today we're talking about how to apply a ceramic coating or a graphene coating to a car. By the way, don't worry, any products, tools, and equipment that I'll be presenting or talking about today, I'll be dropping some links in the description under the video for you guys to check them out. So all you have to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This, by the way, is not a paid review. This is me giving you a tutorial, tips, and tricks on how to properly do things. And also, if you're new to my channel and you want to continue to learn more about car detailing, all the tips, tricks, techniques, products, and equipment, well, you got to hit the subscribe button that's found under this video, and that way you'll subscribe to my channel and never miss my future videos. So let's dig right into it. First of all, when we talk about ceramic coatings, once again, what are they and what do they do? Well, like I said in the intro, they typically come in these glass vials, right? So you've seen them probably all over the internet, and there's a big reason for that. It's because they're a very popular, or presently the most popular form of paint protection, because they are the most durable form of paint protection. We're talking about years compared to a few months for a wax, or up to half a year maybe for synthetic paint sealants. So it all started with SiO2 or ceramic coatings. SiO2 is silicon dioxide. That is the basis of the formula behind this. And what it does, it creates a hard shell of protection on top of your clear coat to protect your vehicle against the elements, against the UV rays, against bird droppings, against acid rain, against tree sap, against industrial fallout, and against chemicals as well. So they have way stronger resistance compared to waxes and sealants, and that's another reason why people love them. But they also add a lot of gloss, tremendous slickness. They have amazing hydrophobic properties. What that means is it gives a lot of water beading, so those tight round water beads when it rains on your vehicle, and also water sheeting to help water sheet off the panels a lot quicker. And they have what they call self-cleaning properties, meaning that the vehicle is a lot easier to clean during your maintenance washes, and that's a big key factor because dirt has a lot less of a tendency to stick on the paint when it's properly coated. Now, ceramic coatings have been popular for the last 5 to 6 years. They started before that in the industry, but really with the public, that's when they started in the past 5 to 6 years to be very popular. Now, in the last year or two, there's been an evolution of coatings. And what happened to the industry is that they now have graphene coatings. So there are many companies that are offering these now, and basically what they are, it's an evolution of a ceramic coating because usually they use a ceramic base. So they still have that SiO2 or what we call nanoparticles, glass coatings, ceramic coatings, SiO2 coatings. That's all pretty much the same thing, just different way to say it. But they also add now, most of them, graphene or graphene oxide particles inside there. And the main attribute or advantage to have a graphene infusion is supposed to be lowering the surface temperature because it dissipates heat a lot better and you have less chances of getting water spots on your vehicle, or at least that's the promise that they make. So you get the same properties as you would with ceramic coatings, and also it is pretty much the same application methods or same tips and tricks. So that's what we'll be talking about today. It is very important that we go through all these tips and tricks and that you follow the instructions of the product that you are purchasing, because more than ever, they need to bond directly to a virgin clear coat, which means it has to be free of any previous protection that's on there. So you would not apply a full-blown ceramic coating or a graphene coating on top of an existing wax or an existing paint sealant because it won't bond to them, right? They're going to be rejected. So for them to bond properly, they need to bond directly to a virgin clear coat. So there's a lot of preparation done before you apply the coating, and that's what we'll be going over. First of all, before you apply coating, there are a few precautions that I want to share with you. Of course, always work in a well-ventilated space. That is the first key thing. If you guys have a garage like I do, fantastic. You can work in controlled conditions. The best ambient temperature to be working in for coatings is anywhere around 20 degrees Celsius or 68 degrees Fahrenheit and roughly 40 to 45% humidity. So those are optimal conditions, right? But what happens if you don't have a garage? Can you still apply a ceramic coating outside? Of course you can, and there are many mobile detailers which their lives depend on it or their income, right? Because they have to apply it even if they work outside. The trick for that is, first of all, you have to pick a day where it's not going to rain for at least 24 to 48 hours after you've applied the ceramic coating, because coatings need at least 24 hours of curing before they're exposed to water or rain. That is crucial. Also pick a time of day where you're not during the noon period where the sun is at its brightest and hottest. So you want to work in the shade always on a cool surface, and as early as you can in the morning or as late as you can in the afternoon to maximize chances. You do not want to apply these glass coatings or ceramic coatings or graphene coatings in direct sunlight. The experience is just going to be horrible. Also, keep in mind, if you're not in these optimal temperatures, so if it gets hotter, the coating is going to flash a lot quicker, and if it's colder, it's a lot slower to flash. So you got to keep that in mind. We're going to talk about what flashing is, what high spots are, and also what to look for when you apply the coating later in the video. So more precautions to take. Always wear gloves when dealing with chemicals, guys. I like to wear just black nitrile gloves or whatever gloves you have to protect your skin. And of course, some come supplied with face masks, or at least wear these if you can as well, especially if you're not in a well-ventilated space. So always use protective gear. Next, we're going to move on to the washing phase. So when we're washing the vehicle, again, to prepare properly for these coatings, we want to promote the best bond possible between the coating itself and the paintwork, right? That is the entire purpose of this video. So what I like to do is first start with a pre-wash using a foam cannon to blanket the entire vehicle with a foam, but not any type of foam. So what I like to use is something like Purple Power Vehicle and Boat Wash. These are what we call stripping type shampoos because they have usually an alkaline pH, so a higher pH, not pH neutral, to start breaking down any older waxes or paint sealants that are in your paint. And you're going to see this is a common theme in this video, is we want to make sure we fully remove any previous protection that's on the paintwork that might prevent the coating from bonding to the clear coat. Because basically the coating itself is like a sacrificial layer of protection on top of your clear coat. So the clear coat itself, that transparent layer that's on top of your paint that comes from the factory, is meant to help protect against UV rays and the elements, but over time the protection diminishes, especially the UV that's in the top, the UV blockers or inhibitors, which are in the top part of the clear coat. Well, they tend to diminish and degrade over the years and decades. Obviously, that's why you see faded, oxidized, chalky white paint or that pinkish color instead of a red on red vehicles. Basically, all cars go through the elements, and of course, over time, you have to protect that clear coat to make sure you keep that gloss and protection going. Hence why we apply either waxes or sealants, or better yet, these coatings, right? So other forms of snow foams that you can use, something like the Koch Chemie GSF or Koch Chemie from Germany, so gentle snow foam. And what you can do is add their Green Star. This is an all-purpose cleaner. They talk about the ratios on the bottle, so how much you would add. This basically increases the pH level of your snow foam to, again, make it a bit more alkaline. So basically you're giving that snow foam a bit more bite to start breaking down those older waxes and sealants. Another thing you can do if you don't have a foam cannon or snow foam, you can do a pre-treat with an all-purpose cleaner. So something like this Optimum Power Clean, diluted 3:1 to be used on the paint, or CarPro Multi-X, again, diluted 4:1 or maybe 5:1. You got to play with dilutions to find the optimal setting in your conditions, but use some form of an all-purpose cleaner that is safe for the paint, but is going to further break down, again, those previous layers of paint protection, any dirt, any grime, any traffic film, again, that oily film that's greasy on top of your paint. This is going to start breaking that down. So you have those two choices, either the snow foam in your foam cannon or the APC pre-treatment or pre-rinse. And then once it's dwelled for a few minutes, you rinse that off. And then we're going to move on to the washing stage with your favorite car shampoo. But in this case, once again, we're using special shampoos to once more help break everything down. So you got what we have here. One example is the Adams Strip Wash. So once again, this is supposed to be formulated to help break down and remove older waxes and paint sealants. All of these steps are still not enough to fully remove freshly applied waxes or sealants. But again, what we're doing is weakening them. Am I going to say this right? Weakening them. So make them weaker for the further steps later on, where we're going to continue to fully remove them. You also have another one of my favorites is the Coating Prep Auto Wash from Mickey's 37. So another hand wash shampoo. You can also use this in a foam cannon if you want. So it serves a dual purpose as a pre-wash or your hand wash. And so that's going to further break down any previous protection. So now your car is fully cleaned. You rinse it off, and then we're going to move on to the decontamination stage. So your vehicle, as it drives in the elements over the months and the years, it accumulates a lot of dirt, a lot of grime, a lot of iron particles that come usually from brake dust. So those hot iron particles get embedded in the clear coat, and that's what creates those orange rust spots on your paint, especially evident on clearer cars like white colors or silvers, but all paints have those. Any color has that as well. So you have to remove those. You can get some tar deposits as well, those black dots that you might see on your paintwork. And well, any other contaminations like industrial fallout and things that you'd get from outside, even tree sap as well. So what we do is a two-step decontamination process. The first one being chemical decontamination using chemicals. So for example, we spoke about tar deposits. So what you would do is use a tar remover. So like this one here, always shake your chemicals before use. So this one is Geon tar. There's another one that works very well. There are many products. I'm just giving you a few examples. So the other one is CarPro Tar X. So these are companies that specialize in producing ceramic coatings. So they obviously have products that are meant to properly prep before the coating application. And then after you apply the tar deposit removal product and you let that dwell a few minutes, you further rinse the vehicle. You can always have the option to use iron removers and tar removers on dry paint, but to save a bit on time, I use them on a wet vehicle so you don't spend too much time drying the car. So after the tar removing step, you're going to use an iron remover, again, for that brake dust and those embedded iron deposits and fallout that might be in your paintwork. So something like this Geon iron. And there's also CarPro Iron X. Pretty much CarPro started the iron removing chemicals in the industry, so they're well known. They work super well. So once again, you'd spray on the paintwork, let it dwell for a few minutes. Always follow the instructions of the products you're using. Never let them dry on the paint, those tar removers and iron removers. But the particularity of most iron removers is they have color changing technology. So when you spray them on the paintwork, they're transparent. But as they start to change the shape of those iron particles to help them melt away and for you to rinse them off, well, it changes to a purple or reddish tint to indicate that it's doing the work. And once you're done with the dwell time, well, then you rinse the panel off. So that was the chemical decontamination. The next step is to move on to mechanical decontamination using a clay bar, a clay mitt, or a clay towel, regardless which form of clay media you want. I have a video on my channel that shows the differences between the different clay media. But what this does, basically, you know, the clay bars, right? It looks like putty or Play-Doh, but these are really made for automotive use. So use the ones that are specifically made for use on vehicles, right? For detailing. So this is a clay bar, and you have things like clay mitts. So in a mitt, you'd have some sort of clay media, or my favorite form, because I like the practicality, is a clay towel, like this Optimum clay towel or the Rag Company clay towel. There are a few of them that are very, very good, and perforated ones like these. So basically, you would use them in conjunction with a clay lubricant. So on the wet paint, after you're done with the chemical decon, so you rinse the vehicle while it's still wet, again, to save on time, you're gonna spray the clay lubricant on the surface. And you need lubrication because you don't want to damage the paint further. Don't forget that clay media or clay bars, clay towels, all those things, they're a mild abrasive. So they can induce a bit of marring, hence why you usually follow a clay stage by a paint polishing stage. More on that in a few seconds. So you're spraying your clay lubricant on the surface and you're going to glide your towel, your mitt or your clay bar on the surface, and that's going to remove any leftover embedded contamination that the chemicals did not remove, because the chemicals, don't forget, are made against tar deposits and iron deposits, but you get other contamination in your paintwork that you have to remove. And if you're planning on polishing your paint, always clay your paint before polishing, because you don't want your polishing pads to pick up that dirt and contaminants and further grind them into the clear coat. Can you imagine how much further damage you would be making? So before you polish, always use a clay stage. So when you're claying, basically what you're doing once again is removing that embedded contamination, and you should be left with a very clean and silky smooth surface. So when you're feeling it, you shouldn't feel contamination anymore. So basically your hand should glide and it should feel like a glass surface, right? So you don't have any grit material left in there. Once you're done with the decontamination, by the way, for your clay lube, always use a dedicated clay lubricant. Do not use a spray wax. Nothing with protection in it, because you're going to want to remove the protection before applying a coating. So you don't want to work against yourself here. So use either a dedicated clay lube, or if you want to make your own DIY mix, basically a spray bottle with a bit of water and just a tad bit of pH neutral car shampoo to act as that lubrication if you guys want to use a DIY solution. So the next step after that is going to be to assess your paint. So use some form of a detailing light. So I like these scan grips. Basically what they do, there you go, if you power it on, it helps shine a light on the surface, right? And this is going to basically expose if you have any swirls, scratches, or defects in the clear coat. So is it necessary to polish paint before you apply a ceramic coating? The answer is yes and no. It depends on the scenario. If you have any previous form of paint protection on your paint, a wax, a paint sealant, or perhaps even an older coating, you absolutely have to do machine polishing to make sure you ensure 100% removal of that previous protection. Because as I said in another video where I talk about that, it's pretty much the only way to guarantee 100% removal of previous protection, especially older coatings, is to use machine polishing. You need that mechanical abrasion to remove that protection. Also, if you have any oxidation on your paint, so that milky appearance, or it's not as, it doesn't have enough clarity or enough pop to the paint like it used to, or if you have any swirls or scratches or light marring on your paint, well, you're going to want to machine polish. So polishing is not necessarily to make sure that the coating bonds properly, but more to improve the looks of your paint, because don't forget, you're sealing that paint in for many, many years with a coating. So if you have any defects, well, you're going to see them for years to come. That's why we do machine polishing, and also to ensure 100% removal of any previous protection that's on there. So you're going to use also some polishes that do not contain any protection. So you're not going to use all-in-one types that have sealants or waxes inside them, because once again, do not work against yourself. We're trying to remove protection here. So use pure polishes or compounds. I have a video on my favorite pad compounds and polishes combinations. So go check that out on my channel later if you want. But things like 3D1, this is a compound and polish. So you have next, you have the Koch Chemie or Koch Chemie Heavy Cut, another very good compound. And then you have for the finishing polishes, so after the compound, you finish with a polish to further refine the surface, boost gloss, and add clarity to the finish. So you have CarPro Reflect. And another one of my favorite polishes, you have Sonax Perfect Finish. So if you have very deep swirls and scratches, what you do, oh, by the way, for the polish, you also have Koch Chemie or Koch Chemie Fine Cut, another very good one. Basically, your choice of pads, polishes, and compounds. So if you have very deep swirls and scratches and heavy oxidation, you always first start with the compound stage. Those contain the heavier abrasives in the liquid, and then you move on to refine that with a polish. So what the polish is going to do is remove sanding marks from the compound stage, further refine the finish, increase gloss, increase clarity, give more pop and depth to the paint as well, and just basically make it very perfect. If you have a brand new car with or a car with light scratches and only light swirls, well, then you can just use a polish if you want. It's going to clear everything up, clean the paint further, and just make it pop a lot. So that's my recommendation. And once you're done with the paint correction, so basically now you got it as perfect as you can, there might be some polishing oils or residue left on there, and even perhaps a few bits and pieces or residue of older waxes and sealants that you didn't pick up with the polishing stage. So what we do now is what we call an IPA wipe down, so isopropyl alcohol wipe, or a paint prep, to remove polishing oils and residue, because you want to make sure, once again, to have proper bonding between the ceramic coating or the graphene coating and your clear coat, so you cannot have any interference from those polishing oils. So what we use for that are what we call prep sprays. You can make your own at home. So if you want to make your own IPA solution, you can use, let's say, a 32-ounce bottle in which you're going to put 4 ounces of a 90% isopropyl alcohol or rubbing alcohol that you can find at the pharmacy, and then 28 ounces of distilled water for a total solution of 32 ounces. If you only have 70% IPA solution, so what you would do in that same 32-ounce bottle, you would use 8 ounces of the 70% isopropyl alcohol in the bottle, and then you would use 24 ounces of distilled water. So once again, 90% IPA, you're going to use 4 ounces of that and 28 ounces of distilled water in your spray bottle. And if you only have the 70% IPA, you would use 8 ounces of the 70% isopropyl alcohol and then 24 ounces of distilled water in the 32-ounce bottle. So that's for a DIY solution. What I prefer are commercially available paint preps, because they're pre-diluted, pre-mixed, and they work super well. They also offer good lubrication when you're doing it. So one, for example, is this McKee's coating prep spray. That works very, very well. And if you decide to buy a coating from a specific company that you really, really like, well, usually they have a paint spray that goes with it. So I would recommend to stick to the same brand because you're guaranteed of chemical compatibility just to make sure you're on the safe side. So for example, if you purchase a CarPro Sequartz UK 3.0 ceramic coating, well, CarPro has their own paint prep and it's called CarPro Eraser. So you can use this pre-mix, and as they see here, it's an intensive oil and polish cleaner. If you go for a coating, say from Geon, like their Geon Mose ceramic coating, well, yes, you guessed it, Geon have their own prep spray and it's called appropriately, there you go, Geon Prep. So basically any coating manufacturer has their own IPA solution or paint prep. So I would recommend just sticking to that if you want. You can still mix and match if you want. So you can have a Geon coating and use a CarPro Eraser as a paint prep if you want. But I always like to promote having the chemical compatibility as much as possible. So stick within the same brand if that's an option for you. We removed all the polishing oil. So not only did we wash the car, we did full decontamination. We corrected the paint and improved the gloss. And by the way, that's the biggest way to improve gloss on a vehicle is through paint correction or machine polishing, because you're leveling that surface and light reflection is a lot better. And if you get better light bouncing off the paint, you're going to get an increase in gloss perception. So the biggest increase you can have for gloss on your vehicle, if you want your paint to pop as well, have more clarity, more depth, and be that super wet look for that gloss, or you go for paint correction. So what they do for gloss, these paint protectants, is further enhance that to another level, but the biggest difference is always through machine polishing. So now we're at the point where the vehicle is entirely washed, it's entirely decontaminated, it's been fully machine polished, and we even prepped the paint with the IPA solution or paint prep. So now it's squeaky, squeaky clean, ready for the coating application. And regardless if it's a ceramic coating or graphene coating, always read the instructions, guys. Some coatings require only one coat, other coatings require 2 coats or recommend a second coat, and some other coatings need a top coat or a top layer to help prevent any water spotting issues, because most ceramic coatings are a bit more prone to water spotting. So if you live in an area that your car sits next to a sprinkler, or you have hard water issues where you live, you might want to look into a proper topper for that coating, because ceramic coatings are more prone to water spotting, hence why they created graphene coatings to help, or at least the promise is to reduce water spotting issues or make water spots a lot easier to clean during maintenance washes. So where I live, I have a water softener system at home and it's just fantastic water. I never have water spotting issues. My car is garage kept and I wash my vehicle twice a week, so that's not an issue. But once again, if water spots might be an issue for you, look into a proper topper. For example, if I look, again, every ceramic coating company has their own topper. So if you look at CarPro Sequartz UK 3.0, they have their own topper or top coat that is called CarPro Gliss. So increases the slickness on the coating itself, but also helps to reduce water spotting issues. If we look at Geon Mose, you can get it in a kit that is called Synchro. So you get the base, which is Geon Mose, that's the ceramic coating, 2 layers of that. And then you have the top coat, which is skin, once again, to help prevent any water spotting issues. If you get a coating, another example here, so if you get Crystal Serum Light from G-Technic, this is a UK company, they have their Exo V4 topper. So you would apply, in this case, 1 layer of CSL, that's why it's important to read the instructions, and 2 coats of the Exo V4 topper. So to apply the ceramic coating now, very important, the majority of the ceramic coatings come with a foam applicator block just like this, and they also have micro suede applicators. So what you would do is take your block, you would wrap it with the micro suede on top, just like this. So you have this application block now with the suede on top. You're gonna take your ceramic coating, always shake it well. Once again, wear your protective gear, so gloves, masks, eyewear if you need that, work in a well-ventilated space. Once you shake, you're gonna pour some drops in a straight line to first prime your pad. So you get this now for the application. Some coatings also come with a dropper like this for those who prefer this style. So you would take some in the dropper, once again, drop a line on the front of your pad, and then you're ready to start applying the coating. So typically what they recommend is to apply the coating in small sections. So work in 2 feet by 2 feet sections, keep it small, and look at how your coating reacts in the environment you're in and in the conditions you're in. So you're going to apply in a cross-hatch pattern, which means up and down like this, and then you're going to go over again left to right. And the reason you do this is to ensure proper coverage. So in your 2 by 2 section, once again, you're going to go up and down, and then left and right in that same section. And then you're going to let it sit on the paintwork for the recommended amount of time. Typically, it's anywhere from 30 seconds to about 2 to 3 minutes, depending on the coating. Again, read their instructions because it's important, and it depends also on your conditions. The coating, after the amount of time it needs to start curing, is going to start to flash. So basically, what does flashing mean? Because that's a term you're often going to hear. Well, if you noticed, these coatings in the glass vials are liquid, right? So the transfer solution, or what we call solvent carriers that are in there, help transport the coating particles onto your clear coat. So they're going to start evaporating, which we call flashing, and the telltale sign of that for most consumer grade coatings is what we call the rainbowing effect. So after 30 seconds to 3 minutes, again, depending on your conditions and which coating you're using, you're going to see an oil slick on water appearance on the paint, a change of color, kind of a rainbow coloring, right? And that's an indicator that the solvent carriers are evaporating away. That's what we call flashing, and that's a visual indicator that it's good for you to now start leveling your coating. So a lot of people unfortunately say buffing. You're not buffing the coating off. What you're doing is you're leveling the coating. You're going to need 2 microfiber towels for that. 2 clean and dry towels, folded in 8s. So you're going to first use the first clean and dry towel for the initial wipe. This is what we call leveling the coating to make sure you're not getting any high spots. Those are dark spots that might dry if left unattended. So that's why, once again, the detailing lights are important, right? So you can look at your work as you progress. That is key. So you're going to level that with your first towel to make sure you get proper and even coverage and even distribution of the liquid on the surface. And then you come in, that's where you're going to have removed the most of the transfer solution or the solvent carriers. And at this point, you're going to take your second clean and dry towel, and that's when you're going to make your final buff to make sure you pick up any leftover residue, and you're going to have a clean surface. By the way, guys, the microfiber towels that I like to use and that I recommend for ceramic coatings and graphene coatings are low nap and low pile, like this one here from the Rag Company. This is their Pearl microfiber towel. I also like some from Autofiber. So there are some that, again, are very low nap and low pile, and they just make leveling and buffing the coating a lot easier. And also, quick tip, when you're done using these with the coatings, don't take a chance, discard them, throw them away, or at least downgrade them for wheels and tires or engine bays or stuff that is not paintwork, because you don't want any crystallization to happen in there that you can't remove and to scratch your finish if you reuse them. So when you're done, just discard them or downgrade them for use on something else than paintwork. So again, you've applied the coating using the cross-hatch pattern on the surface, so left and right and up and down. So kind of a basket weave type thing like a hashtag. On your 2x2 section, you're going to look for the curing or flashing time in the coatings instructions. Again, typically 30 seconds to roughly 2 or 3 minutes, depending on your environment, your conditions as well. And you're going to look for that visual indicator if you're getting that rainbow effect or oil slick on water, or some coatings, if they don't have that, they might start bubbling on the top. Those are more professional grade. But usually you get some sort of visual indicator that it's time to start leveling your coating with your 2 towels. So first, clean and dry towel to do the initial wipe. You're leveling and removing any potential high spots. And your second clean and dry towel over that same section to make sure you remove any final residues and that you're left with a clear surface. And then you move on to the next section. The more experience you're going to get with your coating, the larger your sections can be. For example, I'm comfortable in typically coating a full hood or at least half a hood at once, then letting the coating starting to flash, do the initial wipe, do the second wipe, and move on to the next section. Once again, it's key to use an inspection light, or at least if you're working in a well-lit environment, look in different angles for those high spots. You don't want that coating to dry. So high spots basically are a spot where there was a bit too much coating. You're going to see it's a darker spot on the paint. And if you let that to dry or cure without removing that, well, it's going to look not very nice, right? You're going to see that darkened spot, and it's always going to be there because these, don't forget, they're very durable, semi-permanent layers of protection that are on there for years. So if you do see a high spot, the way to remove it, to address it, the first and most gentle, is to use your clean and dry towel to buff and see if you can remove it. If it's been there for a few minutes and that towel trick doesn't do it, you simply reapply some more of the coating on top of the micro suede, immediately apply on the surface, and then immediately remove with your towel. That should do the trick. And if it's been there for a bit too long and that still doesn't do it, let's say you forgot it for over an hour and it started hardening, well, then you're going to use a polisher either to polish that section off, or at least a hand polish. So those same compounds and polish that you use, just use a light polish, rub it on there. You should be able to remove that. Use your paint prep to remove polishing oils and reapply on that section, and you should be fine. So don't stress if you see, but it's better to work in small sections, controlled environment. Take your time, do it well, look at what you're doing, and then when you're removing, look for potential high spots. If a second coat is required, again, follow the instructions of the coating that you're using. Some coats, like Geon Mose, they require, not recommend, they require 2 coats to function properly, so you absolutely have to apply. Other coatings, like Crystal Serum Light, only require 1 coat of the base ceramic coating, and others like the CarPro C-Quartz UK 3.0 recommend 2 coats. So of course, try and follow the recommendations and the times between coats as well to be respected. The majority of coatings require 45 minutes to 60 minutes between coats. So you're done applying your coating to the entire vehicle. You're going to wait 45 to 60 minutes from the first panel you applied. So usually when you're done the entire car, it's time to start applying the second coat, or you can measure it with your stopwatch or the stopwatch function on your cell phone, as long as you measure the time appropriately. So you have a limited amount of time or a limited window to apply the second coat if there is a recommendation or a necessity for a second layer. Also, the majority of coatings, when you're done, once again, you have 45 to 60 minutes before you have to apply some sort of a topper. So it's usually in the form of a spray product. So if I look at the CarPro, well, they make a reload topper. So this is basically a diluted form of a ceramic coating. We call these silica spray sealants. And they last maybe 2 to 3 months. So it's not more for durability, but more to help protect the coating itself for at least the first couple of weeks while the coating is curing. Because although most coatings require 24 hours of not being exposed to water or rain after application, that is crucial. Well, after that first day not exposed to water or rain, you're going to drive in the elements and it might start to rain, or you get some snow, or who knows what is out there. Well, these are going to help protect the coating against that, because coatings typically need 7 to 14 days to reach full hardness and the full curing time, right? So they continue to cure in the days and weeks following the application. So this helps. Pretty much all the companies, again, have a silica spray sealant. So we had the CarPro Reload for CarPro. You have Geon Cure for Geon coatings. G-Technic has C2V3. Basically, any ceramic coating that you apply, the company usually has some sort of a silica spray sealant. Or some companies also offer toppers that help prevent that, as we mentioned a bit before. Again, follow the instructions for the specific topper. But for example, for CarPro C-Quartz UK 3.0, 3 to 4 hours after you applied the coating, you have to apply CarPro Gliss. So if you apply a topper that's in a glass vial like this, so CarPro Gliss or Geon Skin or G-Technic Exo V4 or whatever topper the company has in these glass vials, you do not need to apply the spray version as well, right? It's one or the other. So I would prefer going with toppers in glass bottles because they last a lot longer, up to a year for the Skin and CarPro Gliss, and I think a few years for the Exo V4. But this is to ensure that you're reducing water spotting issues. They add more slickness to the paint as well. So it's basically an excellent companion for the ceramic coating that you chose. So also take note that these ceramic coatings, the majority of them, can be applied to paintwork, obviously, and your wheels as well if you want to. But some, in some cases, can also be applied to exterior plastics, glass, and that kind of stuff. The majority of coatings, by the way, you can apply them to paint and vinyl wraps and PPF. But there has been, of course, advancements in the technology of coatings as well. And now there are offerings specifically formulated for paint protection film, clear bras, PPF, and vinyl wraps. So here we have G-Technic Halo that works super well. And you also have CarPro Skin, that is another one that works very well on top of PPF. So these are formulated specifically for those surfaces if your car is wrapped or if it has paint protection film to protect against stone chips and scratches and things of that nature. Because coatings have a different, they're complementary to PPF, right? Because they'll give you gloss, slickness, hydrophobic properties, protect against the UV rays, protect against chemicals, self-cleaning properties as well, compared to PPF or paint protection film, which is mainly meant to protect against stone chips and against scratches. By the way, ceramic coatings, contrary to popular belief or hype, they do not really protect against scratches and swirls if you're not careful during your washing and drying of your car afterwards, or if you bring them to automatic car washes with brushes. You're not only going to destroy the coating over time with mechanical abrasion, but you're also going to scratch the surface. What they do is maybe protect a little bit against light marring on the paint, which comes usually, we call those love marks. From the hand washing or towel drying of your paint, it might help prevent that a bit, but they don't really offer protection against scratches or swirls. That's not their main purpose in life. If you need ultimate scratch protection and stone chip protection, first apply PPF to your car or paint protection film, and then apply a ceramic coating on top. So what other important aspects are there? So you're done applying your coating, whether, again, it's a ceramic coating or a graphene coating. And then you've applied the proper topper, you followed the instructions, you have to wait at least 24 hours for them to cure before exposing your vehicle to water or rain. That is absolutely crucial. So if you have a garage, perfect, keep it there. If you were working outside and have no other choice, well, use a car cover if you can, or pick a date. If you're looking at the forecast where it's not going to rain for at least 24 hours, that is crucial. If you get a bit of morning dew, that's not the end of the world, as long as there's no true heavy water or rain on the paint. Also keep in mind, do not wash your car for at least 5 to 7 days after you've applied your coating. You don't want any solvents or any chemicals or any sort of degreasers or cleaning agents from those shampoos or other chemicals to start removing the coating before it's fully cured. So my ideal conditions, wait 2 weeks. If you want to be safe, after you've applied your coating, wait 2 weeks before you wash your car or use any chemical on the paint. 5 to 7 days before washing the car is a bare minimum, so that is very important. You want to make sure, because the coating, as I said, it continues to cure after the application 7 to 14 days after, before it reaches its full cured and hardness levels. Now, you've applied your entire coating, you haven't exposed it to water or rain. What happens for maintenance? So maintenance is actually pretty easy, and that's the entire point of having applied a ceramic coating or a graphene coating. So what you're going to be doing, of course, either a week or two after you applied the coating, you're going to start washing your vehicle, right? Everybody likes washing their cars, especially if you watch my channel. So there are shampoos that are specifically formulated for ceramic coatings, but my base recommendation is use a pH neutral car shampoo that is wax free. So do not mix traditional waxes or sealants with ceramic coatings, because the coatings, first of all, are going to reject those. They don't bond properly with waxes or sealants, and you're going to be masking the coating's properties if you apply a wax on top. Don't forget, your ceramic coating or graphene coating has tremendous hydrophobic properties. So the water contact angles are very aggressive, meaning you're going to get nice tight round water beads and very quick sheeting of water. So all that beading and sheeting, you want to keep those properties going. You don't want to mask that by applying a more inferior wax on top, which does not have the same quality of self-cleaning properties as you would with a traditional coating. So a wax-free pH neutral shampoo is the way to go. If you want something more specific, you use one of my favorite shampoos for ceramic coatings, which is CarPro Reset. This is a very intensive shampoo. I wouldn't use this on waxed cars or sealed cars. This is mainly meant for coatings, whether it's a graphene coating or a ceramic coating. So this is going to help to break down traffic film and grime as well, more than your traditional wash. And then every other month, if you want to help remove any brake dust that's on the surface, Geon has their new Restart Wash shampoo that also contains an iron remover built in. So a few pumps, follow the instructions in your gallon of water, and you wash your car. Not only does it have great lubrication, helps to break down dirt and grime, but is also going to help remove stubborn brake dust that is embedded in your clear coat. So that's what you would do, at least for the basic wash. Once every 2 to 3 months, or more often if you want, there's no limits to how often you can apply more protection, a traditional ceramic coating or graphene coating will need some type of a booster or a topper to help maintain its properties at peak levels, and basically to help keep the water beading, the water sheeting, add some gloss and slickness, and basically ensure that you're getting the maximum durability out of it. So once again, the majority of the companies have some spray items. So each company has their own spray product. If you remember, we spoke about CarPro Reload and Geon Cure. So those are two silica spray sealants that you can use for maintenance at least once every 2 to 3 months on your coating to maintain peak performance. So you would wash your car, you would dry it, and then apply this using a microfiber towel. You buff off and that's it. You're good to go. Your paint is going to be boosted not only for protection, but gloss and slickness as well. Or you can use other products. Some of my favorites, we have here the Duraslick Speed Coat, which works fantastically well. These are spray products, by the way. Again, don't worry, I'll leave all the links in the description for the recommendations. You get Ethos Car Care Resist, so another very easy to apply spray-on paint protectant or a topper. This one here is graphene infused as well. You have Eco Coat Premier from IGL. So another very good spray-on product. Or if you don't want to spray and wipe, some companies have developed a spray-on and rinse-off solution. So you're done washing your car, you rinsed it off while it's still wet. You're going to spray these products like Geon Wet Coat. You spray and you immediately rinse using a high pressure, your pressure washer, or a high volume or high pressure garden hose if you only have a garden hose, as long as you have strong enough water pressure. So you spray this on the wet surface, you immediately rinse off, you work section by section. So that's Geon Wet Coat. You have CarPro Hydro 2 Light. So the light means that it's already ready to use, RTU, pre-mixed, pre-diluted. And you have something like the popular McKee's 37 Hydro Blue. This is the Pro version, that is a more concentrated version. So again, spray on a wet surface, work section by section, immediately rinse off, and that's it. You boosted your protection. So you have spray form and then wipe off, or spray on, rinse off, and then dry. That's up to you. But because your vehicle is coated, the drying stage is a breeze. You don't even have to towel dry if you don't want. You can use a car blower or a car dryer, or a leaf blower that's cordless if you want. You'll dry your car in a matter of seconds because of the hydrophobic properties, and because the water sheets off just so quickly. They're super easy to clean during your maintenance washes. Your cars should look cleaner for longer as well because you have these. By the way, so that's for the maintenance, right? So we said wash often using a wax-free pH neutral car shampoo, or a shampoo that's dedicated for ceramic coatings. And once in a while, at least once every 2 to 3 months, or more often, because for me, well, after every wash, I'm going to use a drying aid on my vehicle to boost that gloss and protection because I love that. So drying aid basically means you're spraying on a wet surface and then you're towel drying if you're towel drying. Or once every 2 to 3 months, like we just presented, you have a few spray-on options on a dry surface and then buff off, or on a wet surface and rinse off and then dry, to replenish your coating and make sure you're reaching peak performance. So I think we covered everything for ceramic coatings and graphene coatings as far as preparation, precautions, tips, and maintenance and application, all that kind of stuff. But now we're going to move on to variables with durability. So first of all, before we go ahead and get that, these are just some of the suggestions. I have tons of ceramic coatings and graphene coating reviews on my channel, but these are some that I really appreciate. So CarPro Sequartz UK 3.0, you have Geon Mose, hopefully you guys can see those. You have G-Technic Crystal Serum Light. So these are ceramic coatings, by the way. Kamikaze ISM coat. So this is made in Japan. G-Technic is from the UK. Mohs and Sequartz UK. These are South Korean-based companies. From the USA, you have Ethos Car Care, ceramic coating. And a new entry not too long ago from a friend of mine. This is Brian from the Apex Detail YouTube channel, partnered up with R2Shine from Singapore to produce the Apex Surface Protection Coatings. This is a metal oxide coating, so a variant. You're going to see SiO2, sometimes titanium dioxide, so TiO2. Some have metal oxides like this one to further dissipate heat and infrared and UVA and UVB. Then you have some graphene coatings, right? So again, SiO2 base with graphene infusion. So something like the graphene ceramic coating from Adams. They promise up to 7 years with this one. 5 years for the Apex Surface Protection. I think 3 to 5 years for the Ethos, if I remember correctly. ISM coat is 2 to 3 years. Crystal Serum Light, if you top it with Exo, you're looking at 3 to 5 years as well. 2 years with the Geon Mohs. 2 years with the Carpro Sequartz UK 3.0. Then Glassparency graphene coating, once again, 2, 3+ years, up to 5 years if you apply 2 coats of this. This is a graphene coating. And Ethos, they have both a ceramic, but they also have a matrix graphene coating as well. So 3 to 5 years of protection with this too. So these are all consumer grade coatings, meaning that you can purchase them, and they're DIY because they're super easy to apply. Talking about protection, durability, right? So many companies, some claim 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. Well, those claims, those are in optimal conditions, guys. So not everybody can expect the full durability out of a coating. So, and I'll explain why. If a coating, for example, like the Adams, say this can protect up to 7 years, right? The graphene ceramic coating. Well, that doesn't mean that everybody's going to be getting 7 years. There are variables. First of all, your application. What did you do for prep? Did you properly prep your paintwork? If there was a previous wax or sealant that you didn't remove, for example, where the coating can bond properly to clear coat, and obviously you're not going to get maximum durability. Did you properly decontaminate the paint as well to remove any contamination? Because you're not applying a coating on top of contamination. Again, it won't bond properly. The expertise of the person applying as well. Is it your first time? Did you do things thoroughly? Did you do it appropriately? Did you give the appropriate flashing time? Did you let the product cure for 24 to 48 hours before exposing to water or rain? Did you respect not washing your car for 5 to 7 days before you wash your car? Those kinds of things. Then there's environment. So of course, a car that lives in California, in beautiful sunny California with nice weather, that is garage kept and only driven occasionally on weekends, or is a trailer queen or a museum queen, well, you're going to have a better chance of reaching the 7 years of protection if it's a 7-year coating, or the maximum durability that's claimed by the brand, because you're in optimal conditions. Also, maintenance regimen. If you take care and wash your vehicle often and replenish the coating with a silica spray or some type of topper, well, you have a higher chance of reaching that protection, that durability. Compared to a vehicle like one that lives in Montreal, Canada, with our harsh winters, that is daily driven and that is not garage kept, you cannot expect that same durability as a person who was living in California that only drives their car on weekends and that is garage kept, right? So always keep that in mind. There are many variables that affect the durability of a coating, and it's not necessarily because the company is lying to you. There's a lot of smart chemists that are behind these coatings, and they work really hard to come up with the chemistry and the science behind it. So again, like anything in life, the optimal conditions, maintenance regimen, how you applied it, where it's kept, is it daily driven, is it only a weekend car, all those variables really impact the durability. So to put all the chances on your side, well, the minimum you can do is take care of your vehicle. If you've applied a coating, there's a high chance that you actually love taking care of your car. So go out there, wash it, enjoying replenishing the coating with a booster or some type of topper, and you're going to love the gloss, the slickness, all the awesome properties that these provide, and you're going to keep your paintwork looking cleaner for longer, and it's just going to make your vehicle just look awesome through the years. Increase the resale value as well, because the paint is going to look fantastic. The majority of these coatings, by the way, you can apply to paintwork, headlights, and taillights as well, any clear-coated surface, and same thing goes with your wheels. Although for wheels, there are wheel-specific coatings. More on that in another video, because they're a higher temperature environment and more brake dust, specifically on the rims, right? So each company has their own. If I look at G-Technic has their C5 wheel armor. Geon has their rim coating. CarPro has their deluxe or deluxe rim coating. So there are coatings made specifically for some applications. There are other coatings specifically made for glass surfaces, others that you can use on glass, wheels, headlights, taillights, paintwork, pretty much exterior plastics as well. So yeah, depending on the coating, again, look where you can apply it. But I like applying coatings on everything, including in cars too. You have coatings made for leather surfaces and a bunch of stuff too. So I hope this was interesting. By the way, all the products, tools, and equipment that I spoke about today, I'll drop links in the description under the video for you guys to check them out. I hope you enjoyed this master class about everything related to ceramic coatings and graphene coatings. If you liked it, smash the thumbs up button to show me your support. Also, drop a comment in the comment section under the video. Are you ready to apply a coating now? Do you feel more confident thanks to this video? Share it, by the way. Share the video with your friends, your family. Share it on social media. Spread the love. I know a lot of people want to learn more about coatings. It's something that if done properly and you understand the basics, anybody can do this at home. These DIY coatings are very simple to apply. Technology has come a long way, and people realize that it's not snake oil. This is actually one of the best forms of paint protection, and your car is just going to look awesome. So guys, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Again, if you have any more ideas for future videos too, drop a comment. Let me know in the comment section. I always read the comments, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. So in the meantime, don't forget, keep it tight, keep it clean, and I'll see you on the next one.